We're going to be going in with Enrique and discussing advertorials and how to use advertorials to sell products, to sell services. He is more of an expert in what advertorials are, when to use them, why to use them, what their structure is. And then we'll be masterminding together on this call to take what he knows about advertorials, what AI knows about helping us write advertorials, and then putting it all together so that Enrique and all of you can use this recipe to sell more products and get more content out there, more effective content for what you're trying to do.
My name is Enrique Marin. Over the years, I want to say accidentally fallen into the niches of politics, survival, and finance. And I felt that those three niches actually worked very well together. And one of the things that got me interested in it from the get-go was just how much influence you can actually have in terms of educating or entertaining subscribers. And even when I started getting into the donation game, working for super PACs, writing copy for them, to where the people would pull their wallets out. And here's the kicker, they're not getting anything back other than a thank you, because the stuff that we're presenting is so passionate and they believe in the movement or the mission or what some congressman or senator, even a president, is potentially promising to do or something to that effect. And I just thought that was so powerful that you can make over $100,000 on a donation campaign. It was unbelievable to me through copy, through storytelling. And I saw it. And then on top of that, when you say, hey, we want to donate, and then on top of that, it's like, hey, we're going to fax now directly to a senator or congressman for another $20, they would do it. And so it was mind blowing to me. And then you get the same campaign and do it over. But one of the things I started noticing was we started mixing this with advertorials, where we would bring them onto a page and it would just be ads on finance, everything from life insurance to just where to invest, buy gold. I started paying close attention to how effective that was, because all that is just storytelling with a little bit of, hey, here's the product. This is what's going to help you, and then send them to a landing page from that was constantly on the website. So I started learning how to write more of these and how to develop them and get the story down. Quick story, nothing crazy, and then send them over to a landing page. And it was just working. And then I started doing that with donation campaigns, and that started working. So I started playing around with a lot of different things. So yeah, nonprofits, super PACs, and then just products in general. And I just started thinking like, man, this is really cool. But what I love about it is you can keep them on there and you can pick and choose what you want to sell and how you want to, and just play around with it. So I started talking to Darby about this and trying to figure out, because a lot of stuff in politics, it's not evergreen, it's real time, real world stuff, right? So you have to constantly change. Like even, let's say I send out a donation campaign, maybe on CRT, right? People may have their opinions on CRT in schools and whatnot, right? So we find something, whether the client is for or against, then we find something that partners with that, right? Maybe it's enrolling in homeschool books, right? For homeschooling, right? That they have a curriculum built on all that, and it pays out very well. So I started looking at all these things and creating them and just pairing them with what articles, right? Content. And I just started talking to Darby, like, how can we get Jasper to create these that are more effective, that are maybe faster and better than that? Because I have to think about it. But if we could create commands for this, it'd be a game changer in industries like that. For survival, same thing. When it's not about learning how to skin a deer per se, what is a single mother with two kids, what can she purchase that's affordable that would help her at a time of crisis? So this is like the demographics and how we approach things. It's worked well. So that's why I said politics, finance, and survival are all three things that mesh very well together. And now with Jasper, I'm looking to definitely see how we can work on creating some of those. And the same recipe for everything else. I've used it with self-help. I've used it with a lot of different, it's just storytelling, but the advertorials work great because you can list 4 or 5, depending on how long you want your page to be. And it all clicks, it all sends it to you. And from the article, you send them there.
And I'm looking at the comments right now. I'm seeing ears perk up for foundations, nonprofits. Can you touch a little bit on how you would approach an advertorial is it different from a political campaign to like a nonprofit raising money to a survival? Are they very similar? Can you touch on that a little bit?
When I first started writing donation campaigns, I started looking at patterns, and I started looking at some of the things that I would constantly add. So it wasn't just constantly building out different, basically there was an outline to creating these donation campaigns, even if the story was different. The story's always changing. And I'll be honest, 2 out of 10 donation campaigns worked. The other ones, we didn't get the response we wanted or whatever. It didn't work for whatever reason. There's so many reasons why something wouldn't work, but they're the ones that we won, that I have a history of. I have them all. And then I started seeing what is the pattern here. So yes, I believe the prompts, I believe having all of that is going to set you up for the outline, and then just add those little figures. But my point was that I've been doing this for 8 years now, writing donation campaigns, and I have seen that there is a pattern, there is prompts that can be created that would simplify that whole system of creating this type of content.
Cool. And I see your question, Gary. I'm interested in hearing, Enrique, your thoughts on like traffic sources for the advertorials, copy. Does it vary based on traffic source, or do you start with one main and that everything goes there and you decide if it's working or not from there?
Yeah. So for me, perfect example, politics. I know that Twitter's a big entity for us. We can build just off of a small tutorial or something, just taking the snippet, small story, posting it on there, bring them back to this. Yeah. So it just depends on what your niche is. Like some might be better for Pinterest. It just really depends your niche. You know what where your people are. And that's where I would start and tailor some of those advertorials to that.
Cool. So key takeaway in terms of before you even start writing the advertorial, it's that kind of the strategy behind it. It's okay, like where are the people coming from that are going to be reading this, that are going to be most likely to take whatever action I want them to be. If they're conservatives that are on Twitter, language is probably going to be a little bit different than if it is like a home improvement on Pinterest board or something along those lines, right? That might dictate the language and the style that we're using inside of the advertorial, but ultimately the framework of the advertorial is going to stay the same. It might just be the language.
Yes, that's really the point. So it doesn't really matter what niche you're in. There's going to be a lot of foundational stuff that you can repurpose and reuse and test. And really the challenge here is the story, the why, because you don't want to present the product as like everybody else does it. It's just bring it into story, show people how it could save a life, how it could change you, all the stuff in copywriting that we're taught. Right? Can it save you money, make you money? Can it change your status? So you look at the basic foundation of that copywriting and add it in there. But yeah, I think these prompts, they're going to set the foundation.